We continue now at the top of Daf 80a Daf in Meseches Yevamos. This is Yevamos Daf 80a. On the previous summit, the Gemara asked what exactly is the situation of a sris chama, and so the Gemara now is answering in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, any person shelo ra sha achas bekashrusa. There wasn't one moment where he was kosher, meaning from the time the individual was born, he could not have children. As Rashi over here says, shelo ra sha achas bekashrusa shalaka mimeimo. Already in the womb, it was problematic in terms of having children. And the Gemara says, Mino yadino. Well, how do we know that? How do we know when a child is born that at that point in time already he's not able to father children? And the Gemara says, Amar Abaya says, Kol hamatil mayim ve'eno osa kippah. Anybody who urinates and it doesn't make like an arch, so that shows, like it just dribbles down, that shows that that individual is not able to have children. And the Gemara continues, Mimai havoi, so what causes this to happen? And the Gemara says, Daf Yomi betiara v'shasya shichra marka. Rashi over here says, Daf Yomi lechem betanor. His mother, she bakes bread in the oven betiara at the noontime. Shemecham mosa chom hataner v'chom hatzarayim. Now it's hot because of the oven, and it's hot because of the time of day, and that's one thing that causes it. And also shichra marka means she drinks this strong beer. Rashi says sheichar mazuk either means beer that is poured as diluted, and some people say it means strong beer. In any case, that's what causes this condition to occur. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, Hainu deshamani la'ami do'amar. That's what I heard Ami saying. Kol shemimei imo loko. He said, anybody who from the womb he has this condition. V'lo yadana ma'iniu. I didn't know exactly what was being referred to. Rashi over here says, V'lo yadana ma'iniu kolomar v'lo yadana mimai have. So the first explanation of Rashi is, I didn't know what causes it. And so now we understand what causes this to happen. And the Gemara continues, Lishna Achrina, there's another version over here. Hachi Garsina, and the Gir says as follows. Hainu deshamana la'ami kol shemimei imo lokoi v'lo yadana maihi kilomar lo have yadana ahecha koi. I didn't know what he was going on. Aval hashta vada yadana desris chama kamafarish v'yazil. But now I know what he's going on. He's explaining what a sris chama is. And the Gemara continues, V'leicha shemahivri bentayim, but maybe we should be concerned that maybe the person got healthy in between. How do you know this is a condition that was from the time of birth and it's been consistent his entire life? Rashi over here says, V'leicha shemahivri bentayim sha'achas v'shtakach ta'avalei sha'asa kosher. Maybe there was a moment when he was healthy, and therefore it turns out that he had a sha'asa kosher. There's a moment where he was able to father children. And the Gemara says, Kevan de tchilas v'sofa lakoi, since at the beginning of his life and now right now at the end, meaning at the present time, he had this condition, lo chayshinan, we're not concerned that in the interim he may have become healthy. And the Gemara continues, Meseches Rav Mari, so Rav Mari asks, Rabbi Chanina ben Antignas Omer, it says that Rabbi Chanina ben Antignas says, Bodkin oso shalosh pa'amim, we inspect him 3 times, this is talking about by a mum, by an animal, besoch shmonim yom, within 80 days we inspect 3 times, and therefore it sounds like on the contrary, we do want to do an inspection to see if there was a healing, to see if this was indeed a permanent blemish. And the Gemara says, L'chad ever chayshinan, when you have a blemish in one limb, so that we are concerned that maybe it's only temporary and we do inspections. But l'kulei gufa lo chayshinan, when you have a condition like a person can't have children, like a situation of a sris chama, so there it affects the entire body, we're not concerned that there was some time when he was healthy in the interim. Rashi over here says, Bod kenoso bechoros kai, this is talking about bechoros, the firstborn animals, chavaror v'hamayim hakvuim harei zemum ve'ezu chavaror hakavua kol shesha shmonim yom. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignas Omer, Bod kenoso shalosh pa'amim besoch peyom. So again, it's talking about you're doing this inspection on the animal, barosh peyu ve'emtza peyu ve'sof peyu, you inspect at the beginning of 80 days, the middle of 80 days, the end of 80 days. Avol bebdiko tchila ve'sof lo sagi. Apparently, just doing an inspection at the beginning and the end is not enough. Shema bein tayim over, because you have to be concerned. Maybe the blemish went away in the middle. V'nimtza she'ein kavua, that would not be called a mum kavua, rather. V'lo amrin and hol tchilaso ve'sof lokay vade lo aver. We don't say, well, since at the beginning, at the end, he had the blemish, it was certainly a mum kavua. We don't say that over there. And so the Gemara says, l'chad ever la'ayin, when you're talking about one limb, let's say for the eye, so that's one thing, maybe there was a healing in the interim. L'kulei gufa, sris chama, machmas choli kol hagufu. In your sris chama, that's already the entire body, there we're not concerned. And the Gemara continues at the 2 dots. The Mishnah said, Rabbi Eliezer Omer loki v'chulu. Rabbi Eliezer said, if a person is a saris from natural causes, so then he does perform chalitza. And so the Gemara says, we have a contradiction from the following Mishnah. It says, Ben Esrim Shana v'lo hevi shtei saros. Let's say you have a man who's 20 years old, he still doesn't have 2 hairs, he doesn't have the signs of maturity. Yaviu rayashu ben Esrim, they bring a proof that he's 20 years old. V'hu asaris, that's called a saris. Lo choletz v'lo miyavim, doesn't do chalitza, doesn't do ibum. Bas Esrim, let's say it's a woman who's 20 years old, v'lo hevi shtei saros, she doesn't have 2 hairs, she doesn't have the signs of maturity. Yaviu raya, they bring a proof, she bas Esrim, that she's indeed 20 years old. V'hi islandist, that's what's called called an islandess. Lo choletzes v'lo mesyavemis. No chalitza and no yibum. Divrei Beis Hillel, that's the opinion of Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai Omer, Beis Shammai say, Zev v'zev b'nei shmona esrei. Beis Shammai say that both of them, it's not 20 years old that we do this, it's at 18 years old. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Hazachar kedivrei Beis Hillel. When it comes to the male, it's like Beis Hillel says 20 years old. When it comes to the female, then we go like Beis Shammai, it's 18 years old. Because a woman matures faster than a man. But in any case, what do you see over here? Rabbi Eliezer seems to agree with the basic premise that you have a situation of a saris from natural causes, and lo cholitz v'lo miyavim, there's no chalitza, there's no yibum. That goes against what Rabbi Eliezer said in our Mishnah. And so the Gemara answers, Amar Rami bar Dikule, Amar Shmuel. Rami bar Dikule says in the name of Shmuel, Chazar bo Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer actually retracted his opinion. The Gemara says, they asked the following question, well, which one was retracted? We have our Mishnah and we have the Mishnah over here that we just brought. Which one does he change his mind? And the Gemara says, Tashma, come in here a proof to Tanya, because we learned in a Braisa. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Sris chama choletz v'choltzin le'ishto. When it comes to a saras from natural causes, he does chalitza, and also we do chalitza for his wife. Why? Shekein b'minon misrapin b'Alexandria shal Mitzrayim. Because those types of individuals, they actually were able to be healed in Alexandria and Mitzrayim. In any case, you see from this source as well, this source supports what our Mishnah says, that according to Rabbi Eliezer, a Sris chama is able to do chalitza. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Lazar Omer, Rabbi Lazar says, Liolam lo hadar be, really, Rabbi Eliezer did not retract. V'chitanan hahi l'onshin, and when that Mishnah said, the Mishnah that we just quoted above from Meseches Nida, that was talking about punishments. Rashi over here says, V'chitanan hahi hazocher kedivrei Beis Hillel. When Rabbi Eliezer says that by the male we go like Beis Hillel, 20 years old, lava mai da'amri lo cholitz. We're not going on that which Beis Hillel said, that such an individual doesn't do chalitza, because really they do chalitza, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Elulash mi'inon da'ad sheyehi ben esrim chashvinan leikatan. All we're saying is that until the person is 20, we consider the person to be a minor. Im lohevi, if he doesn't have the signs of maturity. Umikan v'elech, but from then on, amrinan gadol, who we say is an adult. Im lohevi, even if he doesn't have those signs, elishu saris, we just assume he's a saris. V'chayiv ba'unshin min haTorah, and he's chayiv in punishments mida oraisa. And the Gemara continues. Itmar, we have the following machlokas amoroim. Now the following sugya is going to be written in the masculine as if it's talking about a boy. Rashi is going to say we're actually talking about a girl. We will translate it as it's written in the Gemara. Let's say the individual, he eats chaylev, he does that avera from the age of 12 years old in one day until the age of 18. And this individual has simonim like he is a saris. Now, he doesn't have any of the signs of maturity, so we don't know. Why doesn't he have the signs of maturity? Is it because he's a saris? Or is the reason why he doesn't have the signs because he's delayed, and really he's going to get the signs of maturity? Now, after this, after he eats the chaylev, he gets the shtei saros, he has the two hairs, which are the signs of maturity. So it's a machlokas amoroim. Rav Amar nasa saris l'mafreya. Rav says we say retroactively he was a saris all along. The reason why he didn't have the shtei saris is because he was a saris, and we consider him to be a gadol. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says no, katan haya bosasha. At the time that he ate the chaylev, he was a katan, because we assume that the reason why he didn't have the shtei saris is because he was delayed in terms of his maturity. And Rashi over here says mi ben yud beis ad yud ches. It said from 12 until 18. Atinok eskoi Rabbi Eliezer damar nekeva kebeis Shammai. This is really, again, it's going on a girl, and Rabbi Eliezer holds that by a female we follow Beis Shammai's opinion. That's the age of 18. Also, you see it from the beginning of the statement. Forget about the 18 years old. The 12 is also, that's the time for a girl, not a boy. If you're talking about a boy, so he usually has the signs of maturity at 13 years old. So mi ben yud beis, the pachos mi yud beis v'lo hevia vaday katanahi. Rashi says if she's younger than 12 and she doesn't have the signs, that's for sure she's a katana. Does man havas beis saros latinokas mi yud beis v'elach? Because again, the time when we expect the signs of maturity from a girl is at 12 years old. And so then again, there was this machlokas amoroim. Rav says nasa saris l'mafreya. Again, Aidi da'ari b'loshen zachar katani saris. Since we're talking in the masculine, it says saris, which is the word you would use by a male. Kevan shavra shmona esrei Rabbi Eliezer v'lo hevi avabi shechazer v'hevi eino klum de lo amrin and kevan dahashta isi igloi milsa dat hashta katan have. We don't say that, well, since the hairs came now, therefore it shows that the person was a katana until now. We don't say that. The besaros tal yamil, so that everything should be dependent on the signs of maturity. No, ela besaros mechazkin alei. Rather, we say that this girl, she actually was an islandess, and that's why there were no signs of maturity, and really she was an adult. V'chashvinan la basonshin mishnei maser v'elech. We consider her to be basonshin, someone who can get punishments from 12 and up, meaning she's an adult. Shahaisa ru'uya lahavi, she was fit to have the signs at that time. Damar haydelo aisi mishum desaris have it. We say the only reason she didn't have the signs of maturity was because she's a saris, again, or an islandess. When we're going to say later on that if it's heavy, if the signs come later on, then we say that it's a saris lemafreya. That means to say mishnei maser havi. We mean to say we do it retroactively as a saris from the time of 12 years old. Gedol of a saris havi. It's exactly what we mean. That we say retroactively the person is like a saris from the age of 12. She's considered a gedola, and the reason why, again, she didn't have the signs of maturity is because of the condition. Shmuel says no, that the person is considered a katan because there were no signs yet. We only assume that she's an adult from 18 and on, because at that time it's clear that the individual is a saris. Now, according to Shmuel, when it says in the Braisa later on the person is a saris, it means to say a saris from now and on, but not retroactively like Rav. We would assume because there were no signs that the individual is a katan. Now, Rashi points out, the same would be true. Let's say after the time period there are no signs of maturity. Shmuel would still say the individual is a katan until 18 years old. It's only because of Rav that we have the case where we see the signs of maturity later. That tells a chiddush. So even though now we see these signs, so maybe you would say, well, if the signs are coming now, the person should be considered a katan or a katana earlier. And we say no. We say saris lemafrei according to Rav, and the person is considered an adult from the age of 12 or 13, meaning all along they're considered an adult. And so the Gemara continues, Maskif lo Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef asks the following question. L'Rav, according to the position of Rav, again, Rav is the one that says that we say that the person was a saris limafreya, even if they have the signs of maturity, they're considered an adult all along. So, Eilinus l'Ravi Meir yehei lo knas. An Eilinus, according to Rabbi Meir, she should receive the knas payment. Rashi over here explains. Eilinus l'Ravi Meir yehei lo knas. An Eilinus, according to Rabbi Meir, should get the knas of chamishim kesef. We're talking about the knas of 50 kesef. Let's say a woman is raped or seduced, so then she gets this knas that's paid to her. Aloma tanya b'Meseches ksubas. But if that's the case, why does it say Meseches ksubas? Eilinus ein lo knas v'lo pitoy. That an Eilinus does not get she does not receive the fine payment. She does not receive the payment for seduction. Be'elu narus and elu narus umukmina lo Rabbi Meir. And we say over there that follows the opinion of Rabbi Meir. The Amar Ketana ein lo knas. Rabbi Meir happens to hold that a ketana, a minor, doesn't receive the knas payment. Va'eilinus. Now, when it comes to an eilinus, hoel ve'ein lo saros, since she has no hairs, she has no signs of maturity. Ketana he, so then she's considered a ketana. B'yomim shehaisa ru'uya l'naros. At the time when you would have normally thought she's a nara, she's actually considered a ketana. V'lo amrina. We don't say kevan she'avru yurches, that once the age of 18 passes, v'lo hevian, she doesn't have any signs of maturity. Nas is gedola l'mafreya. Then we should really say she becomes a gedola. Again, just like Rav said, she becomes an adol l'mafreya. L'chayev knas ha'sa'on sabim naras, and the person who rapes her should be chayev to pay the knas of 50 kesef during the times of naras. In other words, according to Rav, who says that you become retroactively considered an adult in a situation of an eilinus or a saris, so an eilinus, according to Rameir, shouldn't be considered a katana. She should have the status of a nara. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Abaya. So Abaya said to him, to Rav Yosef, mikatnusa yotza lebagar. According to the position of Rav, she goes from being a katana, from being a minor, straight to being a bogera, straight to being a full adult. Rashi over here explains, Amar le Abaya mikatnusa yotza lebagar liolav nasis gedol lemafreya. Really, she does become an adult retroactively. V'hada ein lo knas Rabbi Meir. Now, the reason why there's no knas according to Rabbi Meir in a situation of onus, mishum de mikatnusa yotza lebagar, it's because she goes from being a minor to becoming a bogeres. The narus besimonim teluyin, because the status of being a nara, which is really the level in between ketana and bogeres, that is dependent on seeing the signs of maturity. Vizu she'ein lo simonim, and this girl who has no simonim, she has none of the signs. Chashvinon kol yemei katanusa ketana, so when she's actually the age of a minor, she's a minor. Uvimei narus bogeres, and when she becomes the age of a nara, so we actually consider her already a full bogeres. Vizu Rabbi Meir and laknas. Now, according to Rabbi Meir, both the katana and a bogeres do not receive the knas. It's only by a nara that she receives the knas payment. Avol rabbanan, but when it comes to the rabbanan, islandess bimei katanusa yesh la knas. According to the rabbanan, an islandess, even when she's a minor, she will receive the knas. The rabbanan pligi aleve amri katana yesh la knas, because the rabbanan haven't argued Rabbi Meir, and they say katana does receive the knas payment. And Rashi just points out, you make katanos ad shnei masar shana v'yom echad. The time of being a katana is again until 12 years old and 1 day. And the Gemara continues, Amar lei, so Rav Yosef responded to Abaya, Kol ki hani mili mal yasi esamru mishmoy. Such good answers like the one you just said, they should be said in my name. In other words, Rav Yosef was impressed with this answer of Abaya of mikatnusa yotza lebeger. The Tanya, as we learned in the Bryce, it says explicitly, Ein hasaris nidon ke ben soru mora. Number one, a saris is never going to be judged as a ben soru mora. Lefi she'ein ben soru mora nidon el b'chasima zokan atachton, because a ben soru mora is only judged with what? With the sign of the zakan atachton, means the lower beard. Again, it means to say the pubic hairs, the signs of maturity. And again, it's the same basic idea as before. We're going to say that by a saris, he goes immediately from a katan to a full adult. There is no intermediate stage, so there's no din of ben soru more. Vein islandess nidonis kenar hamorasa, and the same thing over here. An islandess, when it comes to a girl, she is never judged as a nara hamorasa. And again, that refers also to this halacha that we said about receiving the onus payment if you're following Rabbi Meir's opinion, Shamikatanusa Yotzta Lebeger, because again, the same basic idea that Abaya just said, from the time she's a katana, she immediately becomes a bogeres. There is no intermediate stage. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Avo says, Simone Saris v'Islandess, when you have people who have signs of being a Saris or an islandess, Uben Shmoner, let's say you have a child that's born in the 8th month, which is considered unclear whether such a child could survive, Ein Osen ben Maisa, nothing is done with them at Shihu ben Esrim until they become 20 years old. Only at that point in time do you know again whether they're truly an adult, or in the case of the Ben Shmona, whether they truly will survive. And Rashi over here explains, Simone Saris v'Islandess ein Osen ben Maisa lahachzikam begedolim v'sarisim. We don't assume them to be adults in Saris ad Shihu ben Esrim until they reach 20 years old. V'lo heviu, and we still don't see the signs. Umishnei Masar ad Esrim, but from the age of 12 till 20, mitzapim, we have to wait and see. Im yaviu harehem ketanim arachshav, if they have the signs, so then we assume they're ketanim until now. Vim lo yaviu, if they don't bring the signs, gedolim heim, so then we assume they were adults, and again, they just didn't have the signs because they were actually saris and islandess. Uben ches shenolad leches chodashim, let's say you have a child born after 8 months, ein ozen bo ma'isa lachziko keben kayam, we don't assume that this person is going to survive, b'shvil simonim, kilomar afal pisha gomru, simone saru v'tzipornav, even though he does have certain signs of maturity, he has hair, he has fingernails, kishenolad when he was born, afilu achi lo amrin bar kayamu, but still, that alone is not enough to tell us that he's viable, vadai for certain, ad shia ben esrim shana, until he makes it to 20 years old. If he makes it to 20 years old, then we understand that this child could survive, that he is viable. And the Gemara continues, Uven shmona mikachai, is it even possible for a child born in the 8th month to live? Vatanya, but we learned in a brisa, ben shmona, a child who is born again in the 8th month, harehu ke'evan, is like a stone, va'asur lataltalo, you can't move him around, avali mosho cholav minikaso, but his mother, she bends over him, and she nurses him, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Pei Amud Beis.